As the day ends, families are cleaning up for the night and preparing for the upcoming morning. In the kitchen, boxes of foods are being prepped, decorations are being placed outside the homes, and everyone's making sure that everything is presentable for a special someone. All these preparations are done in Japan. In the meanwhile, my family is putting our own spin on the matter. This long endeavor for the Japanese is to prepare for the new year. Beginning the new year right is a task that many Japanese families undertake to ensure that they'll be blessed for the days to come. Despite living in the US, my family does their best to do much of the same so that we too can start the New Year's on the right foot. We'll be looking into the preparations of a traditional Japanese New Year and how my family adapts this practice. The New Year's is deeply rooted in Shinto, and many arrangements are traditionally done by the whole nation. In his article for the Center of Global Education, New Year's Japanese New Year, Teiko Shiota explains, according to Shinto, Japan's indigenous religion, a kami, god, enters the house at New Year's. Thus, a complete cleaning of the house from top to bottom was required to welcome the god. So much of New Year's prep was to anticipate the arrival of a kami. Homes are tidied up and decorated, food was prepped at a specific time, and the family goes to its length to be as hospitable as possible to the god. Living in America, my family cannot go through the same extent as our Japanese relatives. However, we still clean our house and prepare a feast to capture the deeper implications of the culture. We mostly spend our time together hanging out as a family as we do these tasks. We don't clean the house to invite a god, but more so to declutter our space to start anew. We don't have much of the same decorations as in Japan, but we've been making do with those tacky New Year's banners that you see in Party City. Though in recent times, modern Japan has strayed away from the religious aspect of New Year's, many families still go out of their way to do all this to spend time with each other and to ready themselves for the upcoming months. The New Year doesn't just stop at a refurnishment, just as much prep goes into the kitchen as well. To end the New Year's with a clean house is nothing without eating some simple yet bountiful foods. Namiko Chen detailed in her cookbook article Japanese New Year back in January 1st, 2018, the traditional Japanese meals for the holiday. She explains, before the New Year's end, the Japanese must eat toshikoshi soba. It is auspicious to eat hot noodle soup because of the long thin noodles symbolize longevity. The morning of January 1st, the family gets together to eat osechi ryori. The traditional food is packed in 2 to 3 tier jabako boxes, and alongside osechi, the Japanese also eat rice cake called mochi. A large variety of meals are typically prepared by the family and are jam-packed with food. Despite its ordinary presentations, the content of the meal, such as osechi, is simple to make. A lot of times you'll have plenty of leftovers for the next couple of days as well. My family always eats soba and mochi, and occasionally some form of hot pot for the New Year's. My family, the hot pots are always a delight to see on the table because it's a free-for-all for what you can pick, and there's always plenty to eat. In the past, my sibling used to get annoyed when one person eats too much of the meat or the hard-boiled egg, but we got over that. And soba is something that we usually normally eat just for the New Year's, and it's something that I have difficult limiting myself because of how tasty and how quickly you can eat them. But my personal highlight for the New Year's is always the mochi. Nothing beats the chewy texture of mochi, and my younger sister and I usually hoggle the sweet red bean paste because the combination of those flavors are to die for. The meal for the New Year, despite simplicity, is hearty and a fun way to end and begin the New Year with. As the year ends with such festivities, the day of the New Year starts quite solemnly. The morning of the next year, the whole family participate in a prayer. In her essay, Japanese New Year Celebration, Reina Hamada recounts her mother's routine for the New Year's, particularly noting of Hatsumode, and it refers to the first visit of the New Year. Hatsu means first, and Mode means prayer. Therefore, people who visit a shrine for Hatsumode pray to the god for luck for the new year. From January 1st to the 3rd, Japanese families travel to any shrines available to say their prayers. These Hatsumode tends to be wishes for good luck and prosperity for themselves and their families. These shrines also hand out paper fortunes and charms called omikuji and omamori that helps predict and ward off bad fortunes for the following month. Now, living in America and San Marcos, we obviously don't have any shrines to visit, so we usually say our Hatsumote at home at the break of dawn. We dress up in formal outfits, and the prayer usually lasts from 10 to 20 minutes. My family will lead the prayer, and my father will usually recount to the God of our family has done for the year and wishes that we can continue on peacefully. And after that, us siblings are tasked to read through an expert prayer book. We close the prayer with a prostrate and a family photo, then we usually eat on the New Year's mostly after that. The closing steps are to start the New Year's is to perform the Hatsumode, and regardless of where you are, there's always a place to pray for fortune. The New Year's is a monumental time for Japan, and it's a key for many families to begin the new year right. As we look at just a glimpse at the vastness of Japanese New Year's, my family had adapted the following tradition as close as we can in America. Even with all the limitations my family faced living in America, the general blueprint of how to spend New Year's Eve and day is so universal enough for us that we feel just as involved as if we're in Japan. Though the religious aspect of the tradition cannot be understated, the main culture that surrounds New Year is about bringing the family together. Through cooking, cleaning, and prayer, almost every time is spent with the family and strengthening a bond with each other.